debate on the war. Stay with us. Jamshid Sharifi here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Our guest is Congressman Dennis Kucinich of Ohio. Juan?
Well, Congressman, on the issue of health care, you've come under intense criticism by some commentators. Earlier this week, Marcos Molitzas, the founder of the website Daily Kos, appeared on MSNBC and slammed you for threatening to vote against the Democrats' health care reform bill.
People like Dennis Kucinich responsible for the 40,000 Americans that die each year from a lack of health care. And I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a conservative Democrat or you're somebody like Dennis Kucinich. Fact is, this does a heck of a lot for a lot of people. And like I said, it's not perfect. It definitely needs to be improved, but it's a first step. And God knows it's taken us a long time to even get our toe in the door, given the corporate interests that are arrayed against any kind of real reform. So I think this is a first step. It's definitely not the end of the path. It's not the ideal solution, but we are our foot's in the door. And if somebody like Kucinich wants to block that, I find that completely reprehensible. And he's elected not to run for president, which he seems to do every 4 years. He's not elected to grandstand and to give us this ideal utopian society. He's elected to represent the people of his district, and he's not representing the uninsured constituents in his district by pretending to take the high ground here. What he's doing, he's undermining this reform. He's making common cause with Republicans, and I think that's a perfect excuse and rationale for a primary challenge.
That was Marcos Molitzas of Daily Kos. Congressman Kucinich, your response?
Well, you know, I brought the issue of single-payer health care before 3 separate meetings of the Democratic Platform Committee. I brought it into 2 presidential campaigns to raise the bar about what's possible. Now, I made a compromise when I backed the public option and voted for it in committee. I also had an amendment passed that would protect the rights of states to proceed with a single-payer approach at a state level. Each step along the way, I've shown a willingness to try to work with the White House so that we can have meaningful health care reform. I signed a letter, along with 77 other members of Congress, saying that I would not vote for the bill unless it had a robust public option. At this point, I'm the only one left standing who has kept that pledge. I think that we have to ask ourselves why we would have a circumstance where, you know, a week or 2 before a vote would come, that it would be said that this is going to come down to a single member of Congress who stands for health care for all, Medicare for all, who stands for a public option, who stands to protect the right of states to pursue it, and yet we should sweep all that aside in favor of a bill that gives the insurance companies a lock on health insurance in America, privatizes the health insurance, $70 billion a year subsidy to the insurance industry. I mean, I have a responsibility to take a stand here on behalf of those who want a public option. There's about 34 members of the Senate, at least, who have signed on to saying they support a public option. If I were to just concede right now and say, well, you know, whatever you want, all this pressure is building, just forget about it, actually weakens every last-minute bit of negotiations that would try to improve the bill. So I think that it's really critical to take this stand, because without it, there's no real control over premiums. Without it, we have nothing in the bill except the privatization of our health care system.
Could you talk about the pressure that the members of the Progressive Caucus received on this issue and the pressure that you've received in recent weeks?
Listen, I'm out of my district all the time. You know, I've held town hall meetings in my district on health care over the years. I spoke to the Democratic annual dinner for Cuyahoga County on Sunday, and I laid my program out and exactly what why I feel the way I do about this bill. And people listen. I think pressure comes when you're not really sure where you stand. Pressure comes when you're willing to try to cut a deal for the sake of making a deal. I'm ready to listen to the White House if the White House is ready to listen to the concerns about putting a public option in this bill. I mean, they can do that. You know, they're still cutting last-minute deals. Put the public option back in. Make it a robust public option. Give the people a chance to really negotiate rates with the insurance companies where from the standpoint of having a public option. But don't just tell the people that you're going to call this health care reform when you're giving insurance companies an even more powerful monopoly status in our economy. I think that these questions are important to be asked. I've never been intransigent. I've always been able to try to find a way to work things out. But, you know, it's a two-way street. The White House has a responsibility to produce a bill that is worthy of supporting. And you can't say it's taking a step in the right direction if what you're doing is taking a step towards increasing privatization of the health care system.
Obama,
you know, this is no more.
Congressman Kucinich, President Obama says that the Senate bill does include single-payer language. He was talking about a provision by Senator Bernie Sanders, which would allow states to use federal money to set up a single-payer system years down the road. What do you think of that?
Well, it provides for a waiver. It doesn't grant a waiver, and it takes effect 2017. But by then, we'll already have a system in place that will be very difficult to move out of, and it doesn't cure the attack that insurance companies can make on state plans using the employee the ERISA Act, and so my amendment that was passed in committee would have protected states from a legal challenge by insurance companies. The Sanders amendment doesn't do that. So you still have the problem that no matter what reforms are enacted, it can be knocked out. I mean, I talked to the president personally about this. I've met with the president 3 times on this bill.
Were you included in any of the summits on health care? Like, were any single payer?
No, I asked to attend. I was not granted that request. But again, you know, I have met many times with the president and with people on his staff. They know what the concerns are that I've expressed, and I'm not doing this on behalf of me. I'm not doing this on behalf of some special interest group, except the special interests of my constituents.
Congressman Massa says he was driven out of the House by Rahm Emanuel simply because he wasn't going to support this bill and was a big advocate of single payer. Do you believe that?
You know, I'm very sorry for what's happened with Congressman Massa, but I don't know that it has anything to do with this health care bill.